Hey, hello.
Hey,
Hey,
hi
can you
David, how
hear
you
me?
doing? Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing well. How are you?
okay. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Yeah, you know what?
When
Since you mentioned Pierce College, which is down the street from where I live, I thought you were here.
we were, yeah.
Okay,
And then
okay.
my wife, we lived. You know the boulevard right across the street from Target,
Yeah.
off of Ventura. That's where my
Mhm,
wife and I lived. We lived there
mhm.
for about 3 4 years,
Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
decided. So yeah. So I do apologize for the mix up on
Oh no, no, don't worry
the
about it.
time
I
frame.
just
That
yeah,
was complete user error on my part.
no problem. No problem. No problem.
All right. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
Like your hat. Love
Uh,
it.
it's my
Uh,
it's my hat that I wear when my I'm about to wash my hair in a little bit. So that's what it is. It's my dirty hair hat. Yeah.
the topic today that we're going to be discussing is marriage, faith, and rock and roll.
Mm,
And there is a fine line in there, and the portrait of a traveling musician in a
mm,
successful rock and roll band is outlined with a core belief that all musicians live by the code of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
mm,
But not everyone lives by this code, this pattern.
mm.
Uh, and uh, you have been married for some time, right? How long have you
Oh
been
my God,
married?
since 1984. So I lost count. It's going to be 40 years very soon. It's 38 this year. That's for
Oh,
sure.
wonderful.
I think.
That,
Was it
you
84
think
to 30? Yeah. You know what? After a moment, you just start. I just stopped
you?
counting. It was like,
I know.
what am I counting for? So it should be 38 because in 2024 will be 40. So it's we're into 2020. So it's this year is going to be 38. Yeah.
You have definitely passed the mark of success in your marriage. That is a long time.
Yeah.
Lot
Yeah.
of folks.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think about it,
Mm,
because all we have is now, and now it's awesome.
yeah,
I'm
it
blessed,
starts.
you know.
How did you get through being Rudy Sarzo?
Oh my
Because
God.
I was there at Licorice
Mm.
Pizza on in Mountain Avenue at the record signing, and the people that were there, they just they're drawn to you. How did you, as a young musician, deal
I
with that?
to be honest with you, I don't even think about it. What I do think is, I don't think about me. I think about God's will. What's God's
Right.
will? And and it's a process. It's been a process, and
Mhm.
I uh I mean, since you asked, I when I was trying to make it, my starving musician years, I grew up in Miami, and the reason why I'm going to mention this is like, eventually, if you want to live like a rock star, have sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, very little rock and roll, but a whole lot of sex and drugs. Miami in the '70s was the place. That's where all the drugs was coming from. Booze was cheap, plenty of women. So it's like, okay, so why would I leave Miami as a musician if that lifestyle was already there? Why would I go on the road and become a starving musician
Mm,
and really, struggle trying to make it in the music industry? Is because I wanted to be a recording artist. I wanted to be a musician, a professional
yes.
musician, not somebody that play bars and from day to day, so basically living from day to day, you know,
Hmm.
where's the next chick that you can pick up? Where's the next, drug that you can score or whatever? I had a lot of friends that I invited on my journey, and they say, "Now, why should I leave here? I got everything here." And I'm talking about Miami in the '70s, mid
Oh
'70s,
yeah. Yeah.
right? The disco era. There's plenty of documentaries about it. So if anybody wants to do some research, basically watching Scarface will tell you. That's like a home movie for me. It's like I knew so many guys like that. It's like, wait a minute, I grew up with this guy and that guy and that guy.
Does your
Yeah,
faith
but
have had an influence on getting
yeah,
married as a young musician?
Well, actually, I wasn't that young when I got married, but my wife was. I had to be on the journey. I had to be ready. You know, I actually, I was brought up Catholic,
Mm.
and Catholic in a Latin culture. I was born in Cuba. It's a little, probably a little bit different than what we know as Catholic in the United States. Because it's like pure Catholicism. I mean, like the pure, like only fish on Friday, and
Oh.
and being told as a child, on Good Friday,
Mm.
which is in Spanish, it translates to Sainted Friday, Viernes Santos. And
Dear Santos.
when they actually cover the anything that looks like Christ, Christ on the
Mhm.
cross or anything, they put a cloth, a drape over it. And when we're talking about statues, we're talking about life-size statues of Christ on the cross at home. It's
Right.
like I would go into my grandmother's house, and first she opens the door, and there's Christ at the cross bleeding, behind her. It's like, oh my, I'm a kid.
That's intense. Yeah.
It's
That
impressive.
brings it home.
Yeah, it brings it home. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but I'm a kid, and nothing is explained. I had a lot of questions as a child. And it's like, you're too young. No, if I'm asking the questions, it's because I notice these things. So I'm not too young to notice it. I need an answer here so I can move on.
Right.
And
Right.
so being Catholic, that was, it had its pros and cons uh, about it.
Yeah, we were raised Catholic also. When I was younger, and my brother and we used to think that God was a little rude because every time we went to his house, he was never there. So and we just kind of like
yes,
we
yes.
went through. I mean, our family was every Saturday we went to mass 5 o'clock. We
Mm.
always prayed together in the evening before
Yeah,
going to bed. We always blessed
yeah,
our food when eating,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
I really admire the Catholic uh, traditions, I guess.
I'm trying to find my direct path to God through Jesus Christ
Hmm.
as my road to travel
Right,
on my journey, my spiritual journey, you know.
exactly.
And so the less people involved in it, especially terrestrials, humans,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
better. It's like, get out of my way. You're blocking the way here.
yeah. We tend to
Here,
mess things up.
yeah, here's the path. It's Jesus, and there's God over there, at the
Right,
end of the, or alongside me. We're walking
E-
together. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
everybody else move away. So that's what the
He
Catholic Church represents to me. Yeah.
no, and do you contribute your faith to the longevity of your marriage? Is it something that plays a role in that? Because you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a mhm,
yeah. I grew up with really strong role models, being my parents. My
mhm,
parents, they were married until my dad passed away like 5 years ago. And then
sorry.
my yeah, thank you. My mom just moved in recently from Miami over to live with us here in Los Angeles. And yeah, there's a very strong family unit that I grew up with, along with my brother. And of course, that is like the strongest reference and oldest reference that I had in my family. The stability. And yeah, but also, finding the right person, or both finding each other, basically, my
Yeah.
wife and me. She's been with me actually 41 years. We met in 81, and
Wow.
she was with me through the whole Ozzy experience, and then on Quiet Riot, and everything. And she never got into my business, ever. And not that I did not want her to, but she never did. She trusted me. She trusted me in my decision, because it's pretty tough on a woman. And I'm saying, in a situation where, for whatever reason, the male, it could be the male or the female, as the
Right.
as the major provider. I mean, you're relying on this person,
Mhm.
to provide. So
Yeah.
that's why I see a lot of females getting involved in the music industry with their husbands, boyfriends, whatever, uh, career, business,
Yeah.
because sometimes
It's
they just don't trust the individual to make the right decision.
yeah, I think that your spouse is probably the best
Yeah,
partner to go into an industry like the
yeah,
music industry because
but
they have your interest.
oh yeah, well, but also they don't trust you, and that's the point. We have a relationship based on trust, because without trust, what's the point?
Yeah, you have nothing.
You have
Yeah,
nothing. You have nothing.
yeah,
You don't have a
you
relationship.
have to be
Yeah,
able to trust. I mean, because you're
yeah,
out there on the road long
yeah,
periods of time, and people are
yeah,
just shouting their praise to you, and they don't they connect with you only on an emotional spot level because it's the music that's touching their heart, and they're that's their connection to you, but they don't know you like your
yeah,
wife would know you in a
yeah,
personal setting.
yeah.
Now, in regards to like the young people today, do you feel like they're just because marriage it takes time, you know, it's a bonding that you have with your spouse and
Mm.
and the young people today seem to be giving up too soon on their marriages. We see marriages that go for like 3 years, 5 years, and
Mm.
they just don't stick it out. Um,
Yeah.
do you think that there's a do you think young people just need to like focus more on the importance of marriage? Why are
Well,
there what are the important aspects of
yeah.
marriage?
Well, I mean, my reply is going to be based on experiencing living with my parents. I learned about relationship from them. So unless you have a solid foundation at home, being raised at home, and you actually get to spend time out of your room. See, that's one thing. My brother and I, we used to share a room, so we we would sit at the dinner table and have dinner. It was not a whole lot of conversation because everybody was eating, but at least
Yeah.
we acknowledge our presence, and if there was something that had to be said, it was said. Uh, and when I say get out of the room, so don't be in your room all the time, because the longer you spend in your room away from your family, the further you get away from them and closer to a virtual reality, which is not a world
Mhm.
family based
Yeah.
reality, which is
Hmm.
why you're here. You're here to experience that, not some virtual reality world. That's escaping the purpose while you're on this earth at this moment
Yes.
in time. Yeah, you know
And
what? I have a lot of faith on nature, God, but we're
mhm.
talking about the nature side, the ecology side of it, things, the planet. And
Yeah.
sometimes humanity goes out of whack. It either gets wiped out by some catastrophe,
Yeah. Yeah.
or viruses. I'm not talking about COVID in general. I'm talking about HIV.
Yeah.
HIV. When it happened, just the fact that it happened in the 80s, and I lived through the 80s. If if the 80s would have escalated into the 90s, we might not have survived as a human race. Things were
Yeah.
really
Yep.
out of alignment, carnally and spiritually, you know.
Hmm.
And now we're just kind of like beginning to find out about it. And sometimes nature says, okay, you guys got to slow down, think it over.